Two rivers and a mountain border our land. South Marlborough is a place of stunning vistas and strong community. From the heights of the majestic Mount Tapuai or Buanuku, down the Awateri and Waiatoa rivers to the coast. Let us take you off the grid on an adventure to discover South Marlborough. Munga Awa Moana.
For the last 10 or 12 years, I've been trying to restore a lake on our property called Lake Elderwater back to its former glory. Replanting what we can where we can, sourcing local seeds and replanting out to restore it for our kids. So Lake Elderwater on the southern end of Taimate Farm is what's effectively an ephemeral lake. It's effectively a dead lake where all the water runs. There's no flowing water running out of it. It's quite large, 2 kilometres long and about 400 metres wide, and it's very shallow. It has an abundant supply of wildlife, and it's a wildlife reserve. What's happened over many centuries is that between burning and clearing of the land, and then with European grazing and the introduction of animals and pests, a lot of the lake native vegetation was sort of lost. I think it might be the largest wetland, freshwater wetland in Marlborough. It means a lot to the community, it means a lot to us as a family, and so it was nice to start looking at giving back to it, fencing it off, protecting it, starting to plant it out and restore it to its former glory. And within the last couple of years, I saw climate change protesters and people in towns protesting, and it sort of got me a little bit angry. Well, surely you could be doing something better than just the protests. And I started to actually take a step back, and I realised, well, a lot of these protesters, they might not have the financial capability of jumping on the land and providing some plants and getting stuck in and doing a bit of mahi instead of sort of protesting throughout townships. And so a bit of an idea sort of came to me that, look, how about I provide them a link to farms that are wanting to do this work but struggle with getting the labour and the time to do it. And so I guess it was coming down to, or at the end of the day, breaking up of the rural-urban divide in some way. It's trying to get people from towns wanting to plant out onto farms, getting plants in the ground where farmers are struggling to get it done. I mean, there's huge benefits. You know, everyone's a winner at the end of the day from it. You know, it reduces the farmers' demands and costs, but it provides the people in towns the ability to get out, see what's happening on farm, see what positive projects there are, and for farmers really start showcasing what's been going on.
Just before the earthquake, we talked about extending our museum because it was so tiny, and we have so much to show and so many stories to tell, didn't we? But we really never had the facility to do it. So we looked at what we could do, and we got a concept plan in our heads and started some fundraising, and then all of a sudden the earthquake came. It caused a lot of disruption and sadness in our district, but it also gave us the opportunity to look at building our heritage centre and making it a reality.
The heritage centre is, the idea is to make it a living thing, really. We're trying to move away from the standard museum concept. We're aiming to make it, although we'll have the static displays, we're looking at interactive, possible virtual reality, making it something attractive to all the ages and every aspect of the community.
We've still got our collection safe, but you can have an object, but unless it's got a story with it to tell, it doesn't mean so much. So in our small museum before, we had an object, and unless some of us were standing there, to tell what that object meant. It didn't mean much. But in our Heritage Centre, we're going to have the opportunity to tell the stories about the people and about the district and how the geology was formed and the mountains and the sea and our iwi and how they came here and why they came here. Well, Jack, you had a huge collection. I don't know, when did you start collecting all that stuff that you had?
Well, I don't know. You can't put a date on this sort of thing. It's something you sort of grow up with when you're a kid. And we started the main part of the museum in 1980, and then the earthquake shook it down. We've been here. We came here in 1919. We've been on the place 100 years, so it's just quite good. I can remember coming out from Blenheim and getting about St Andrews and thinking, oh, I don't think I'll ever get Tarshiel to Ward. And it only took them a few years.
After all these things over these 100 or so years, we've lost, there's no sort of centre focus for the community. And I guess that's one of the main drives for the Heritage Centre, is we're looking to create a real centre for the community. And so being on the land that we've chosen next to the community hall with some green space and hopefully park and you know, native plantings and so forth, we're really going to create a hub for the future community to grow, and it'll become a real heart, and that's what's really key to us. So.
Really, the story starts 2 years ago when we selected this piece of land. It had been fairly untouched, no fertilisers or sprays. And then following that, we came through, we formed all the beds, laid all the drip tape, followed by coming through and transplanting all these seedlings into the rows. We're now right about harvest time. We've got 40,000 plants out here. We've got close to 30 people working on site today, and all of this material over the next 3 weeks needs to be cut down and taken to our drying facility. Big important thing to know here is that all of our methods here have been organic. We're well down the path of getting our BioGrow certification. So all of the fertilisers, foliar sprays that we apply to the plants are all from organic means and a certified organic product. This will not only set us apart from all of our competitors, but it will also demand a higher price point.
And you can kind of tell a flower's quality by normally a leaf, sugar leaf to bract ratio, or to calyx ratio. And the more bracts and calyxes you find in there, the better. We just look for a 10% ambering on the bracts there, and then we know it's ready to harvest. The next part that I get really excited about as well is eventually the idea of putting a dam up there and a little pond up there as well. And then using a form of aquaponics, because I'm really big into self-sustainable ecosystems, and I love the idea of having a healthy koi population that through their waste provide really good nitrates, and to be able to come down into our plants, which is basically, if well kept and well done, free fertilizer.
We are inside Puro's Kakuri drying facility. This is a purpose-built 1,000 square metre facility. So here behind us we've got one of our drying methods. This is a traditional hang dry method for drying top flower. So we've hand harvested these flowers. These are all CBD flowers in the field. Brought them back in here yesterday, and they are currently drying, which we estimate takes around 7 days in this facility. So they can be stored for and sold as for manufacturing purposes. What Puro is a cultivation, or a large-scale cultivator, and we're setting ourselves up to be one of the larger growers in Australasia. What we are not is a manufacturer. So all of our product will be sold to pharmaceutical and nutraceutical medicines, therapeutical manufacturing purposes. So we won't do that in the house here. We will sell our products, and then the products will then, or the dried flower will then be converted into medicines by our third parties. The biggest bottleneck for cultivation is the drying process. One of the reasons for doing the 3 different dry methods this year is to understand what works best for Puro, what works best in this climate, what works best for our buyers, and we'll take that knowledge next year and scale it up accordingly.
Yeah, the idea really came out of the 2016 Kakuri earthquake, and I suppose it was modelled on the then successes of some other rail-based trails around New Zealand, and it seemed just such a winner for the greater Marlborough Kakuri area, and the opportunity was there in the rebuild to make it a reality. What excites me is the fact that the beauty of this coastal scenery combined with some mountains and some other, the wine region, it's really some of the best part of New Zealand, and it does another key role. New Zealand is invested in cycle tourism, but Marlborough Kakuri have none, and this actually is the missing piece in the national link-up of the whole New Zealand trail. Very exciting. The trail was always seen as for everyone. I'm now 66, so I'm in the old class, and I want to be riding it hopefully when I'm still 80. So I want children, families. It's got to be safe. It's got great facilities. It'll have great viewing sites. It accesses beaches and forest walks that are not known at the moment. So it's really exciting for everyone. One of the highlights are all the bridges we have to cross. They've got clip-ons, they've got inserts into them. As a boy in Marlborough, I loved going across the Arbitrary Road rail bridge. They took it away, I was very sad. Now we're putting it back, isn't that exciting? The Whale Trail has always been thought of as the backbone of Marlborough and Kakuri's tourism infrastructure. It'll take people to places they can't get to. It'll provide opportunities for local people to show off their craft, their beautiful environment, their history, their culture. Just unbelievable number of opportunities it will create within the region. And it's always been thought of as a facilitator of just that. This time next year, it'll be real. You'll actually see cyclists crossing the old Seddon Bridge. There'll be people wanting services, wanting information, wanting to talk to you. You can become involved with them or however you want to. It'll just be so exciting, and I'll be one of the first of them. And how perfect that a cyclist went past during that. Yes!
I'm Paul O'Donnell, soon to be Director of BDO Marlborough, married to a lovely wife Michelle with 13-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, Elijah and Jemima. We love Marlborough, and it's a fantastic place to grow up but also to run a business. Yeah, so I guess I've grown up and lived in Marlborough all my life. Exposure to vineyards started in 1987 when I helped plant my dad's first vineyard, and I guess from there, coming back from university, got involved with our clients, getting into developing vineyards and acting for wineries on the way through. People we've dealt with so far with BDO have been fantastic and have been hugely supportive of what we're wanting to do, and really that's made the whole decision a no-brainer really. And end of the day, it's all about good people working with good people.
I'm Alex Barton. I'm a Director of BDO Marlborough and soon to join the BDO National Board. I'm very excited about this. My background is from the King Country, where I grew up on a sheep and beef farm, and also in the Waikato, where I went to school. I've got a background in governance and investor relations at Air New Zealand, but my passion is for rural New Zealand, hence living in Marlborough and supporting small businesses and medium businesses through accounting services and business advisory services.
Leslie O'Donnell's been an accounting firm in the blended marketplace for 25 odd years now, and we have a a great reputation and client following.
As part of our strategic planning, we've been looking for a partner for a while now. What was really important to us is that we remain locally owned and the same local people. I think it's important for accounting firms these days to really make sure that they're getting the best information they can. Paul and I looked extensively at other partners, and BDO has a massive focus on rural and agribusiness. To us, this is very important because that aligns with our client base.
Yes, as part of moving to BDO, we've looked at the requirements of the business and our staff, and decided that we really needed new premises and a bit more space, which will provide a nicer working environment for our staff, but also better spaces and other resources to clients. One of the successes of our business over the long term has been, I guess, the culture of our firm and how we all get on as one family, really, and that same family environment is what we see in the broader BDO network, and we're really thrilled to be part of a bigger team, really.
At BDO Marlborough, we're very family focused. We have many staff who've got young families, and we like to support these team members. We've also got many team members who've been at our firm and the prior firms for decades, and it's great to keep the traditions that we have in the firm. We try to offer flexible working arrangements for staff if they need to get out of the office at lunchtime or in the afternoon to watch kids sport. We're very happy for them to do that. We offer working from home. This is a real positive development for the region and reflects the strength of the Marlborough economy.
Ko kura haupo te waka, ko te moana raukawakawa te moana, ko te hoere te awa, ko maunga tapu te maunga, ko Ngāti Apa ki te rātou, rāua ko Maitahu, ko Ngāti Kuia te iwi pākoi oku iwi, ko Lewis Smith toko ingoa. Pākohi was identified by our ancestors, early Māori communities, and exploited for their tools. Not only was it a taonga, a prized, a special item, but it was also something that sustained the lives of our ancestors and helped them to live in this new land. Carving really found me, sort of in search of a medium. Looking into my own whakapapa, I came upon toi Māori art, and specifically the medium of my ancestors, Pākohi. I found these things and really just embraced the whakairo, the carving, made it a really central part of my life and what I do. Carving really is a great form of self-expression. Pākohi is otherwise known as metasomatized argillite. It's a mudstone. This whole region we actually call Te Rohi Pākohi, the area of Pākohi.
One of the people who came to us probably about 2 years ago now is fantastic local stone carver Lewis Smith. Lewis inherited his grandfather's stone tools, which was what encouraged him to first begin working with the stone that he had a fundamental connection with. But last year, an exhibition for the Tuhi 250 commemoration featured a substantial body of Lewis's work. His passion and personal connection through whakapapa to the stone and the places, mixed in with an enormous appetite for learning and then of course some incredible skills with the stone, brings something really special to his work. Lewis's work constantly grows and evolves. It is quite incredible how quickly he picks up new ideas and tries new forms and produces work.
Well, our first people that came to Aotearoa, they came from Eastern Polynesia. They come 800 years ago, 1280 AD. When our ancestors first came to the Wairau, there was an abundance of bird life. Of course there was the moa here, which was the biggest bird of the lot. And then there's the fish, there's the flounder, the kahawai. You know, there's an abundance of fish. You could have walked on the water, the amount of fish what was coming in, and then there's the shellfish. And the old story is, when the tide's out, the table's set. There was so much shellfish. There was paua, there was oysters, there was mussels, and this was an untouched virgin paradise. Our ancestors, when they first came to New Zealand, they were explorers. Our ancestors went round up every river mouth, every tributary. They just went back into the hills and they found everything. And most of those materials you find back at the Wairau Bar.